We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Welcome back as we are hanging out with Cliff Jumper, the master of the Transformers, getting his nom on as we're getting ready for another Transformers video. This one coming by way of Hasbro Studio Series 86 Transformers the movie, and we finally found Snarl. I've been waiting to get this one for quite some time. None of my stores seem to have it in stock, but I got lucky as I went in, and it looks like they pulled some of the old stock in the back because they're not really getting new shipments in apparently anymore, Transformers, and lo and behold, there was Snarl. Been waiting on this guy for quite some time, so let's go ahead, get him out of the box, and check him out.
I am Snarl.
Right out of the box, here we go with Snarl. The last one that they have for so far for these Dinobots. I have no doubt that they will be coming out with a swoop as well. Here we go with Snarl in a bit of an action pose, and he's got his big old sword out right there. It's kind of weird because most of the Energo swords that they had with the original Dinobots, most of them were all red. These ones are silver and other colors. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I know that the red is supposed to signify a nice energy type of weapon, but I think this one still looks pretty good for what it is. As you can see, he's got a lot of movement right there. Part of it that snaps apart. I think it's part of his transformation, or these might actually be built-in rockers. I'm not 100% sure, but they pop apart and they work very well for rockers at the bottom of the feet. You can see up in the shoulders, plenty of movement. The flare out, plenty of bend at the elbows. His hands do have turns as well. He's got a nice waist turn right here. He's got some decent movement in this head. Like, he can look around pretty well. This is actually very well done. Like all the other Dinobots, this one just looks incredible. Knee joints, hips, a lot of rotations in and out. Man, this one can get in some pretty damn good poses. You can get a figure this big and chunky into a kneeling position. Holy shit, you've impressed me. Like all the rest of the Dinobots, this one has tons of ratcheting joints in them. For a larger figure, this is almost a necessity because the much heavier joints are much prone to wearing out a lot faster because of the weight that's being put on them. It is always a huge plus when they include this many ratcheting joints. I love this. And this one has tons of movement in it, and you can get them in a lot of different action poses. Absolutely well done. So let's go ahead. Let's get him in his dino form and check that out as well.
Transform! Snarl reaches maximum strength when drawing power from the sun.
Here we go with Snarl in his dino form. Took a bit to get this one together. There's a lot of odd placements and way parts kind of port in and everything. This is not like the other three Dinobots where they were very intuitive to the old designs, and if you knew the old designs, you could easily figure them out. This one had a lot more steps and a lot of like weird movement of parts and snapping in and porting. I kind of don't like how far down this tail sits in the back. I wish that would have kind of sat up a little bit higher, but it really is just on a hinge point, and there is nowhere to move that. I mean, that kind of stinks. Like, if that swung back a little bit more, he wouldn't be leaning so far down forward, and just the tail looks just out of place on that. I don't like the way that looks at all. The rest of the dino form is not too shabby. There's a little bit of movement here in all his little dino limbs, so you can kind of stretch him out, move him around if you want. Even though the whole headpiece snaps together right here, you can kind of see how it wants to port back apart. But even then, he does have an opening mouth. There is no port in there like the other Dinobots had to put a blast effect though, but that's alright. Kind of is what it is. This is not the most stellar of Dino modes. I think this one is just passable in Dino mode. I think his robot mode looks 10 times better, and that it is a bit of a shame. So overall, this Studio Series 86 movie, Snarl, I do not think this one compares to Grimlock, Sludge, or Slag, or as they call him, Slug. I do not think this one compares to those three. Those ones are marvels of engineering. They're very G1 centric in the way everything is done, not only with the look, which is kind of a cross between the old design from the G1 toys and of course the G1 Sunbow cartoon, but all the modern articulation and everything that you would expect in a figure while capturing that classic feel of the transformation. Those ones were done almost perfectly. Snarl, not so much. Decent looking bot. I mean, the Dino mode is, it's a little bit to be desired. There was a lot of shortcuts on this one. There was things they could have added and changed it to make this a little bit better, but it feels like they kind of just got lazy when it came to the Dino mode for him. The robot mode, absolutely fantastic. I mean, even got a little place you could port his weapon in his Dino mode, but even though it looks kind of stupid if you ask me, so we're just gonna port that out of there and throw that to the side. Overall, I gotta say, there are too many things on this that I am disappointed about. Not enough to take it back, but it definitely doesn't feel as worthy of the Dinobot name as Grimlock, Sludge, and Slug. This one, the best that this one can get out of me, I will give this one a solid 7 out of 10. It's really losing marks for this dinosaur mode. I'm sorry. This is just lazy and it's horrible. Like, the fact that he's got to be pointed down to the ground the entire time and he looks so short and stubby because of the way they did that tail, that is just horrible. That just loses major points. The robot mode, spectacular. If we were basing this just on the robot mode by itself, this thing would be getting a solid 9 because it was done so well. Maybe even a 10, it looks so damn good. But because this transformation into a dinosaur is so piss poor, they're getting a 7 on this one.
Tricky, aren't you, you dino dodo? Hold tight! I mean, forget it!
And that is all we have on this one. This one is another one. I'm really enjoying this. I love all these 86 Studio Series Dinobots. Even though we technically seen Snarl in the movie, it was very short in scenes that almost seemed like they were kind of thrown in and he wasn't really part of the Dinobot crew that we actually seen in the movie. Really cool character, a really good representation of Snarl, and I'm digging it. Anyway, Cliff Jumper is nomming away. He's having a good time, and we hope that you enjoyed this review. And we'll catch you next time. Later, y'all.
You can stop now!
Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers.